Hey man, it's the Hellion. The Hellion rocks. I'm here with Scott from
Skeletonwitch.
Skeletonwitch is a band that kicks ass. I gotta tell you, their last record, their new record, which is
Serpents Unleashed,
is out. Came out October.
Yeah, it came out late October. Yeah.
And we were just talking. We were rudely interrupted, but that's okay. We keep moving on. And you were talking about the production of the album.
Yeah. It was produced by Kurt and engineered by Kurt Ballou from Converge. He's the guitar player, and he also runs God City Studios in Salem, Massachusetts, which is where we recorded it.
That's very cool. The vibe was all there for you.
Oh yeah, and of course the reporters had a field day with all the witch puns.
Right.
You know, Skeletonwitch being in the Salem, the witch city. So yeah.
So how far into the tour are you for Serpents Unleashed?
Which one? We've already been on multiple tours for it. Yeah. We just wrapped up a tour in San Diego 2 days ago with Amon Amarth and Enslaved.
Oh, sweet.
It was great. Yeah, it was a killer tour. And we're making our way back home to Ohio right now, so we're playing a few shows on the way back. And that's why we're here in Albuquerque tonight. And then after that, next up will be in the spring. We go to Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Yeah.
So how do you find the crowds here in America versus the crowds overseas there?
The biggest difference, I guess, is in America, if people don't know your music, they'll still just get drunk and be like, it's fucking loud, I'm gonna go nuts, and beat the hell out of each other. And in Europe, if they don't know your band, the first few times they see you, they're more reserved and a little more, like, scientific about it. We talk to people at the merch table, and I'm like, dude, I thought you hated that. You were just sitting there, like, bored as hell. And he was like, no, I was focusing on you.
Nice.
Like, oh shit, okay. I bet duly noted.
One of the cool things about overseas that we've kind of lost touch with here is they got all the cool ass festivals, Vakken, Download, all of those huge giant festivals, even like Rock in Rio.
Yeah.
They seem to draw a lot more crowds. I think it could be to the fact that there's less for them to do outside for their regular lives. Here we're always busy with computers and this, that, and the other.
I don't know if they have less to do with their lives, but
well, it seems like they're not locked up in their houses in front of their computers.
Oh, I'd be willing to bet that they have more of a life than Americans do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you mean, then I tend to agree with you. But I mean, I guess it's case specific. But no, I don't. I think there's just there's just more people that go to metal shows, I guess. I mean, go to Vakken, go to Summer Breeze. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And in the U.S., there's been the successes of like Ozfest or Mayhem Fest and things, but it's not on the people don't come out in the scale that they do in Europe, and I still don't know why that is.
I don't either. I'd love to get that back here though, because it's a great escape from your ordinary life. You get out for an hour and a half, 2 hours. What's it cost you? 10, 20 bucks?
Yeah.
To get out and hang out with other people, talk to them, face to face instead of on the phone or the computer.
Yeah.
And enjoy a good rock and roll show. You get that live vibe.
Yeah, and that's what metal has always been I think for all of us in the band, has been sort of an escape from everyday life. That's why we play the music. That's what drew us to it. Was being your classic angsty teenage asshole, and you're like, God damn it, I love Merciful Fate, or whatever the band may be, and it took you out of just your shitty, boring daily life that we had growing up in the Midwest.
One of the things I dig about Skeletonwitch is the fact that you guys totally trash your records when you play live. I mean, it's so much better. The records are great. You can listen to them, but you're not getting up on stage and just copying the record. You've got that great live approach to your songs.
Thank you.
That's entertaining.
That's all the missed notes, actually. No, I kid. But rather than just some guys focus a little too much on like if you want it to sound like you're just going to play the record over the PA and not put any balls behind it, play the record over the PA and don't get your balls out.
Exactly. You guys do, man.
We get our balls out at every show.
Every show, you can guarantee it. And the crowd really gets into you guys. I've watched you guys live, and I've seen live performances obviously on YouTube as well, and it seems like everybody really gets into the show. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, there's a mutual. We feed off the crowd. So if people are having a good time and they're into the show, it makes us, more excited about what we're doing. I mean, there's a base level of like we get to do what we love for a living and play the music we like. So we're stoked no matter what. But then if people start giving energy back, then it can really accelerate. It that much more fun, that much more wild. Yeah. So how much do you in making the music of Skeletonwitch, how much do you draw upon listening to what the crowd tells you, what the fan base tells you?
Not at all. I mean, no offense to anybody. No offense. Nate says this sometimes, our other guitarist, and I'll steal this from him, but once somebody asked him what his favorite band was, and he said Skeletonwitch, but then he explained, and he said, not because I'm up my own ass, but because I write the music that I want to hear. the metal that gets me the most pumped up. Like I keep writing, and Scotty keeps me. I keep writing until we get that feeling that like you know that like that's what we want to do. That's what we want to play. So we it's sort of self-serving to write for ourselves first. And we get people that say write more like Beyond the Permafrost, or write more write more like when you did more of the new wave of British heavy metal sound. And we just disregard it all. We love heavy music, and so certain songs there's maybe more of a Maiden feel. Certain songs there's more of a Merciful Fate feel. Some of the songs more sound like dirty ass black metal. It's just because whatever the hell we feel like doing, we're gonna do it.
That's good. Yeah. Because you end up getting trapped that way. You know, you end up if you try to tailor your sound.
Oh, I think the first step in the wrong direction is when you start listening to what everyone else says before. When you let something come between yourself and that guitar, right. and your heart, and again your balls. When something else gets in between you and that process of creating that stuff and that energy and that flow, it's going to start sucking inevitably. You can't be doing it for somebody else.
And I think that's what gave us the long-standing bands from the 70s and stuff. They were writing from within. You know, they weren't getting involved. They were making the music they wanted to make. Like it or not, they were making what they wanted to make. And they had that distinctly unique sound. And then when we got people that realized, hey, I can make money at this, back when there was money to be made in the industry, you know, we had all these clones come out. You know, and there was a whole onslaught of these bands that sounded cookie cutter. And I never went for that. You know, I always liked the bands that reached within themselves and made music what they felt. They put it like you said. So that's why Skeletonwitch matters.
Thank you. And you still, you know, to a lesser degree, you still see those same trends. People don't make nearly as much money as they did, but there are a lot of younger bands sort of doing the same thing as slightly more successful. Also, usually younger bands doing a more modern metal or hardcore metal kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. There's a whole scene of interesting bands out there, shall we say, that sort of all sound the same, that are kind of successful at the moment. It depends on where the spotlight is of what the industry wants to push and what kids get into. But they're the band, those types of bands, without elaborating any further on what those types of bands are, you probably know what I mean?
Yep.
They're the types of bands that when those young kids that listen to them get older, they go, oh man, I can't believe I used to listen to that. They're not the ones that say, oh man, they're putting out a new record, or wow, like I still love to put this record on, you know, when I whatever, I'm driving down the freeway or at the gym or, you know, whatever, getting pumped up for something. Like those fans don't stick around.
And to me, that shows the true test of an artist. When somebody makes art from within, music from within, it has more staying power. And you can come back to it, you know, like with your older stuff. You know, I can go back and listen to it and say, damn, you know,
it's cool.
It's still go back-to-able.
Yeah. It kind of ends up in court, you know. You're not like, oh god, this is like some things you listen to after years pass, and I'm like, oh, why did I listen to that? And I was like a little kid, and I'm like, throw that away.
And I do. I've got a lot of records like that you know I'll pull out and go, what did I see in that? You know.
Yeah.
And there are a few that
like I was high as fuck.
There are a few that I can go back to keep listening to. Skeletonwitch is one of them. You know. I don't even know how I found you guys. You know, online or something, but somebody turned me on to Skeletonwitch, and I've been hooked ever since. Solely based upon the music.
Awesome. That's the best reason to get into a band. Yeah.
Cool. We're about to lose audio because it's getting loud.
Yeah.
We're gonna get interrupted again.
But
that's all right. It's rock and roll. It's loud. It's dirty.
We're professionals. We rise above it.
This is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks and Scotty from Skeletonwitch. Make sure you go check them out. What do you got to say to the world, man?
I gotta say thank you to anybody who supported us and lets us actually tour around the world. We don't take it lightly. We appreciate any support we get.
Very cool. It's loud. It's dirty. It's rock and roll. It ain't perfect, but we love it.